Hello, welcome back to the Level 1 News. Today is February 11th, and this is mostly nonsense, but I also want to take a minute to remind everybody it's February 11th. It is almost Valentine's Day. If that matters to you, make sure you're ready.
Way to call out the
singles. Well, listen, sometimes you got to remember.
Are you you got big plans for Valentine's Day? Are you more of, you expect things done for you on Valentine's Day, or are you more egalitarian?
More egalitarian. We usually go out, but we don't like being around other people, even pre the thing. So we always do our Valentine's like either a week before or the week after, so we don't have to deal with crowds.
That's illegal.
No.
The Valentine Council has spoken about that. They don't accept it.
Oh. Whoops.
What you're doing during that time is fine, like marital togetherness, but you better not call it Valentine's Day.
Just call it a regular date night.
Because what you call things is very important, and there are certain words that become powerful because the world is stupid. And if you can identify one of those powerful words, maybe you can use it for your own thing, even if your own thing is useless.
Over 500 mobile apps are now using the term metaverse to attract new users.
I'll scroll down to the graph in this article.
I'm just waiting for the Metaverse Tea Company.
It definitely started picking up around October.
There's another one though. Hang on. It's like what type of apps? Yeah. Wait, no.
Metaverse.
That's not it.
Game?
Yeah. So it says what types of apps are doing it. I'd like to point out that teaching and art and design are at the bottom of this list.
Also, I had a really funny image, which was from the metaverse, which was from actual Facebook marketing material, and it's like, how could you see that and not think that the metaverse is worth $250 billion?
Oh, people don't think Facebook's worth that much anymore, as it turns out.
Yeah. Facebook is having a bit of an issue, and it's going to be hard for them to sell the whole metaverse concept because, let's face it, the metaverse doesn't exist yet, right?
No.
Like, Facebook wants you to think of the metaverse as whatever your best imagination is of the computerized future.
And they want you to spend the next 10 years while you're waiting for that to come to fruition hanging out on Facebook and talking about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to work.
Facebook lost daily users for the first time ever last quarter. Although this article breaks it down. It's like, turns out Facebook's not really been getting new users in US and the UK and Japan. But the other parts of the world, they were adding users. But this also means that the rest of the world doesn't care. So Facebook has 1.92 billion users, and they were 1.93 billion, so they've shed quite a few users.
Yeah, it was a tiny, tiny incremental drop. We must point out that Facebook is doing fine. They're making money. And they're going to continue to be powerful for a long time, but they're no longer growing. And in the social media game, you have to keep growing.
We're 1 out of 3 people on the planet almost is using this. Like, something is very wrong.
But in 6 months, it might be less than that. And they cannot have that.
They need to expand the marketplace. That's the only thing that matters on Facebook. Weird junk on the marketplace.
I think somebody else could do that so much better.
They could, and it would be easy too, but...
Just like people are doing every other aspect of Facebook better. It seems like people don't want a unified... Because Facebook is trying to get everybody else's features and then cram it all into one big monolithic thing.
And it's difficult to find half of them.
Yeah, I think people like the whole TikTok thing, right? Give me one thing, make it simple, and make it addictive. The pharmaceutical industry has been playing that game forever, and look how much it works for them.
Not even punished for that.
Dr. Sam's Miracle Cure. It's got morphine and cocaine in it.
Feeling good.
And now for a design section. We don't have design sections every week.
There's not always a lot of good stories for design, but...
Today we got 2, which is unprecedented.
Gmail's next big redesign starts rolling out next week. I think this is a big improvement.
Well, it's hard not to improve Gmail, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cluttered. I still think this is a little bit cluttered, but they've added chat features, which I'm not sure how much people actually use them, but this is the old design, the one that you've scrolled down to. That's the old design where it's like half your shit is taken up by chat features. Now it's all in one little convenient sidebar.
When you make a new message, is it still an 8x8 pixel box in the corner?
Probably. I don't know anyone who actually uses the chat in Gmail. So I like it because now all your email stuff is visible instead of having to scroll through things.
I have a script blocker that disables it. Like, why would you ever want that?
Yeah, I don't know anybody who uses it.
And I guess this is design because you have to design art, right? But
Yeah, I thought this was more just kind of nonsense, so it's a good introduction to the nonsense section.
I mean, as an artist, this doesn't seem like that's hard to do.
No, this is literally just a flex.
And I imagine the artist himself did not pour the metal
No, I think
Right.
this was all done. I think it was done in Switzerland.
because they have those big foundry buckets with the wheels on them. You think they actually let him?
No, probably not.
That would probably be illegal, right?
A pure gold cube worth 11.7 million is sitting in Central Park, ... with security.
So there are homeless people camped out around it now.
Yeah.
But this is actually going to be featured at a dinner for Wall Street bankers somewhere, or so I read.
And it looks like, look at that. Why? It doesn't even have a base. They just put it in the snow. This article made me angry when I saw it.
It's
It was
hollow.
trending on Twitter for a while too.
It's not solid gold.
Here's our plan for an incredible series of YouTube videos, right? We wait till this is over, whenever they take it out of there, right? Then we cast an identical cube in lead and plate it with gold. Then we put a camera on it and put it out there without the security. Now, that thing is going to be nearly impossible to pick up, right?
But people are going to try.
Yeah. And we get all that on video. It's going to be amazing.
There's some metal. Supposedly there are fake gold bars in Fort Knox.
I can't remember the name of it, but
We use that.
they found a jeweler actually sold bars, 100-ounce bars, and peeled them back. And sure enough, tungsten. It's tungsten. That was tungsten, and I don't know how much money he lost, but and when you're talking about 100 ounces of gold, a lot of money. 100 ounces of gold, that's the kind of thing that you can only buy and sell if you are as ridiculously rich as a Silicon Valley tech person. Because they have an insane amount of money, most of which is probably tied up in their homes because the property prices out there are crazy. Now, the problem with that, as we discovered in Washington and California, all these states, is when there's a community that's filled with those Silicon Valley people who have billions of dollars, the housing gets shut out for everybody else. Like, you buy a shack for $2 million. Oh, wait, I don't have $2 million. So what the governments have done is they've said, listen, we have to build public housing in your little beautiful communities. And the response was, you can't do that. Why not? What possible reason could we have for not doing that?
A wealthy Silicon Valley town has blocked new affordable housing projects by declaring itself a mountain lion habitat.
I looked this town up on Google Maps because I was interested to see how they would. It is near some wildlife refuges, but like, what?
So in trying to research this, because I was like, there has to be more to it than this.
No,
And
it's not.
no, there is, but it's so insane, it's crazy. So there are people that live there that have paid the $2 million for a shack. And they're worried that if more housing is built, the price for their $2 million shack will go down, which it will, because it was a $2 million shack.
It's not just about supply and demand.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I know it's going to make some people angry, but if I have to choose between mountain lions or low-income housing in my yard, guess which one I'm picking? I love cats. Also,
But here's the
I'll
thing,
put
though.
out a
Like,
steak for them every now and
they
then.
probably want things like restaurants. They want schools. Like, you need people who can afford to live there, like teachers and garbage men. And
they just bust them in.
So the other thing that's crazy about all this is every now and then you get a cabal of 2 or 3 wealthy people that just buy everything. They support certain local candidates and they support certain local ordinances, and they're so fabulously wealthy that they just take over everything, including the political functions of the town. And so then when they need to pass something like this, it gets passed.
The fix for this is already in progress, and it's a terrible fix. I agree, but what else are you going to do? It's just that everybody else leaves. And what are they left with? Beautiful weather, and you can't get fuel or a sandwich.
I was going to say, I mean, this is going to have a bad effect on local businesses because they're not going to be able to expand or anything.
They have to leave too.
Yeah.
Till nothing's left, and you starve out the big players, and then you can start the cycle over again.
But then the people who bought the $2 million shacks who can't afford to move anywhere, like the big players, they're the ones who get screwed.
Well, they did something stupid, didn't they? Also, I guarantee that we have seen this picture of this mountain lion
He looks so
at least
happy.
20 times.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
They love this image. It's a great image. He's just like, what are you doing here? Do you know who I am? You know what I could do to you?
They're moving out west. Have you heard that?
The mountain lions?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did they press release that?
They did. And by that, I mean, like, the forestry departments have mentioned that they've been seeing record numbers of them moving back east. Interesting.
All right. Well, you know what? I don't think I could afford to feed them the pricey cat food that I feed my cats, but I might throw them like a scrap or something.
Listen, I can't afford for my home price to go down. I'm going to have to release some mountain lions in the
To my
neighborhood.
area.
You see Mark Zuckerberg in a mountain lion suit roaming around.
He's making the cat noises.
I love doing stories about Nestle because I love Nestle water. It is, in my opinion, the best bottled water you can get. But the beautiful thing about Nestle is they are just such a horrible company. I mean, they are the monsters of the earth. You think Intel and all the tech companies are terrible? They got nothing on Nestle. And this one is actually in South Africa, so don't worry. I mean, if you're enjoying a Kit Kat right now, don't spit it out unless you're in South Africa. But this is just the kind of thing that Nestle, like they do this kind of thing, and then they're so real sorry about that.
Nestle recalls some Kit Kat bars as they can contain glass. Oops.
Something, give me a broken tooth. I don't know. You got to think of the titles ahead of time.
Ad blocker.
So yeah, this is unfortunate because we got an ad blocker. But this is it's amazing. And once again, I'll point out India just embraced cryptocurrency, space program, incredibly fast technological growth. But on the other hand,
Men's rights activists are doing the introduction of marital rights, something like that, for India.
I think they're protesting.
they're against it.
Yeah.
Marital. I don't know if we can say the full thing without getting demonetized.
But
No, men have certain expectations of their wives, and their wives don't have a choice. And it's like, ooh.
and in most of the world, you call that rape.
Yeah.
But not in India. So they've introduced these new things, and a lot of people are.
Sorry.
Really? A lot of
Wendell's
people.
uncomfortable, so he's moving the water bottle.
Where's the sticky stuff?
I don't know.
Or any of your widgets that we have to prevent this? That's also very noisy.
But I don't think you're saying like, oh, India has cryptocurrency and this, and this, and like they're just now doing this. I think in the U.S., I think that only recently passed like in the 90s.
Is this the equivalent of playing Civ? And it's like, well, my population's illiterate, but we've got nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
The
We put
90s
all our money into like the different part of the tech tree.
The 90s were a long time ago, Krista. I mean,
Not that long.
Relatively. They do point out that the Modi government is very right-wing and kind of theocratic, and the religion has a big part of that, like why this is okay in that society.
Oh, listen, if the trajectory continues, we're not going to be able to make fun of theocracies
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh, we have a theocracy. The current theocracy is climate change. But next time around, we're going to get a real one. Oh, you guys are not going to like the backlash. I'm not going to like it either. I'm going to like it more than this. And the hypocrisy of those government leaders is on display more and more. And you would think that after they've been called out on it time and time again, they would be more cautious about this. But I guess not, because nothing ever happens, right? No one actually ever suffers when they do something like this.
The LA mayor says that he was holding his breath during a maskless picture with Magic Johnson.
Was he called out for this, or did he
Yeah.
just
Oh my God,
casually
yes.
mention it?
That's why he said the holding his breath thing. They were like, hey, you created a mask mandate. I probably shouldn't say that. And now we have pictures of you in public avoiding it. And he's like, oh, it's fine. I was holding my breath. Now, that should be a valid excuse for anybody who's not willing to do that, right?
I went into the restaurant, but I was holding my breath the entire time.
Yeah.
I got the milk run down to 2 minutes, which is how long I can hold my breath because I'm an Olympic diver.
Can you imagine, like, you're in the grocery store and someone passes you, they're maskless, and they're just running to the milk cartons.
Or they've got a can of oxygen and they like hit it and then run. But then you still have to exhale, right? So
That's got to be an Always Sunny skit.
On the other side of the political aisle, doing something arguably more embarrassing is a man who has proven time and time again that he loves being famous. Oh my God, does he need fame?
The memes from this were really funny.
And I think his fame meter is running out, and he's desperate to feed it quarters.
CNN politics.
Why is this even here?
Yeah, why is this even on CNN? Rudy Giuliani hits rock bottom again with the Masked Singer cameo.
The Masked Singer is such a stupid premise.
I know. Can he sing then?
He probably was like just a cameo for like a judge or something.
I didn't see it, but some of the memes and stuff that were coming out of this were hilarious. And some of the memes were from It's Always Sunny. Apparently there's an episode of Always Sunny where Frank is somehow the one that gave him his hair dye that was running during the thing, is what I gather. So.
But I think he was singing, right? Because he was wearing the disguise, and then Robin Thicke and Ken Jeong, I don't know who that is.
He's from Community.
They walked out when he unmasked himself.
Uh-huh.
So he must have been singing, right?
I guess. I don't watch cable TV, but I heard about the Masked Singer from someone else, and I was like, what hellscape are we in? This is what we're watching now.
Was this like when the press reporter for the White House was the Easter Bunny?
Was
that a
Doocy?
thing?
Yeah, a long time ago.
For a different. And you ask, why is this on CNN Politics? Because CNN cannot pass up any opportunity to crap on Giuliani because he was a Trump guy. So, they had to have 7 paragraphs about Trump in here, obviously. Because that's what makes people click on it. Amazon, remember they built that big egg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like an incredible place to work. They have all these different floors for just random, useless things that you would never think would be in a major business center. One of which is dogs.
There are 6,000 dogs, quote-unquote, working at Amazon, and they get access to these cool perks. So a lot of people bring their dog to work. In this article, it goes over some of the history of that. Apparently a corgi, like some of the early Amazon startup days, a couple would bring their corgi to work.
So there's one whole floor that's just a dog park, and it sounds like they have artificial places for them to pee and poop. Someone has to clean that every day. I bet the custodian doesn't feel that warm about that.
I'm surprised that they would do that with like the liability issue of like if a dog got in a fight or if a dog got a virus or something.
Well, you can keep the dog with you during the workday as well.
Yeah.
We'll do a level one interviews the person that works on the dog park floor, and the interview starts out with, "Well, I get up in the morning about an hour or two before work because I usually cry in the shower for 30 to 45 minutes.
No, they have to get up 3 hours before, so they spend an hour crying in the shower and then 2 hours on their bus ride.
Yeah, the bus, the commute. All right, he rides in on the bus, and as he's getting off the bus, where he was like cramped in there and so uncomfortable, he sees the dog getting out where it's got the whole back seat of the Lexus.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I have to clean that poop all day."
The dog got its own hammock in the back seat, and
I get a degree in economics.
He goes back to his custodial closet, which is a 2x2 with all the supplies in it. Meanwhile, the dogs get a whole floor.
There's a microwave and a hot plate. The microwave doesn't work.
He makes coffee on a hot plate.
It's just sad.
It's funny because there was a situation where there was a guy who was actually making his coffee on a hot plate because the coffee machine stopped working and the department wouldn't buy him a new one.
That would be so good because he'd be making his on the hot plate, but there's like 18 Keurigs on that floor, but he's not allowed to use them.
Yeah, they don't want to see the help.
Well, the Super Bowl's coming up. Are you guys hyped for that?
Sport ball.
Yeah, we don't care about the sports at all. And I find the Super Bowl to be completely unwatchable because I know a lot of people watch it for the commercials, but I hate commercials so much.
Yeah, why would you watch it for commercials?
Yeah, and it's, if you're just wanting to watch a football game, that's the worst one to watch because there's extra commercials. But anyway, there is a technological tie-in, kind of, and it has to do with meme magic, which is what the Bengals are trying to summon to get a win.
Sam Hubbard says the Cincinnati Bengals want to win Super Bowl for Harambe.
I think Harambe was from the Cincinnati Zoo, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And they're like, and the Bengals have been not anywhere near the Super Bowl since that happened. So this is their first chance to honor him. We have a lot of problems out in California with energy, and one of the biggest problems is wildfires. The question is, if a wildfire starts, Who's responsible for it? And this answer seems a little dystopian.
California gives PG&E approval to bill customers for wildfires because it's obviously their fault.
Now, I think that last wildfire, now, of course, we're taking their word for it. Didn't they track that back to like a shed that somebody burned?
Yeah, and that one of the wildfires was that professor that liked to set things on fire.
There was also one that was caused by bad PG&E infrastructure.
So how do you land that on any of the customers?
Well, they just, you pay off some politicians and you be wealthy.
The customers don't have bags of cash. That's terrifying, though, especially, if things continue to get worse with weather and things like that. Though that happened in Texas, too, didn't it, when the freeze happened?
It did.
So, there's already precedent for that.
Texas had a fire?
No, Texas had the big freeze last year, and people got charged for their huge overages for when the power was on.
But I don't think this is overages. I think they're charging them for creating fire risk.
Yeah. Screw you for wanting electric in your home.
And letting things dry out.
Yeah.
You should be watering that.
Oh, the city won't let you?
Oh,
Sucks to suck.
Right, there's a water shortage. Here's just a crazy one, and I suppose love finds a way?
Former Missouri teacher accused of sex crime marries students and the charges are dropped.
That is horrific. Also, it's bad news when the lady doesn't have eyebrows. That's like instant villain status if you shave your eyebrows. If you shave your eyebrows, bad news.
That's a bad picture, Krista.
He was 17, she was 23.
Which you wouldn't even bat an eye at if not for the 17.
Yeah.
If it was 18, 24.
She's also in a position of authority over him.
Yeah, that's always a bad thing, but this is a double standard. Well, a lot of guys argue about this double standard, but I think it makes total sense, right? Because if you reverse the genders, then it's like, no.
I think it's wrong either way, but
it's probably wrong, but I think that young man was totally into it.
This article doesn't really talk about it, but it seems like this was a kind of a loophole because under the law, you can't be compelled to testify against your husband or wife.
Yeah.
So even after both of them saying you should drop this is crazy, don't do this, they were proceeding ahead with the case.
But
did his parents have to approve the marriage?
No, the prosecutor can just say, hey, let's do this.
You know what? In The Sopranos, when Adriana wanted to marry Chris because she knew that charges were coming down, the FBI explained to her that only counts for everything that happened after the marriage. The Sopranos lied to us.
TV courtroom drama not being accurate? No, I'm wondering in this case, so if you're under, I don't know if this is how it works there, but in Kentucky, if you're under 18, your parents have to approve the marriage.
Nah, you can get away from that. You can get emancipated. There's a process you can go
I wonder
through.
if that kid was emancipated or something.
No, by the time the article says that they were 18.
He was 17 then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, when they started.
He was 18 when they figured out they had a relationship. They're just saying that they had a relationship that existed before then. So it's kind of hearsay.
This is one of those situations where they wanted to go after her, but he didn't want that. So he figured out a way to stop it. And, to get married.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he's an adult when they got married.
It's weird, but should the government really be involved in that anymore? If he's 18 and he's with it and he's like, all right, fine, let's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of an abusive situation, potentially, though, because it was his teacher, not just a random 24-year-old woman.
Yeah, if you turn 18 and say, stop this, that should be the end of it.
One of the thousands of reasons that I never want to have children. Because imagine the parents in that situation. What a weird situation. The Pentagon has a fun little story that came out today, and I guess this is just an easy way to make the Pentagon not seem like the warmongering monsters that we're going to see that they are when they try another proxy war in the Ukraine. It's not the Ukraine, it's just Ukraine. Every TV personality says the Ukraine. And I think it's all because of Kramer from Seinfeld. That's a hell of a power to have over the zeitgeist. But yeah, this is a non-story.
Nervous wandering chicken caught at US Pentagon security checkpoint. This article is a very long article about
it's crazy,
finding a chicken. They found a chicken. It probably came from somewhere. It had no idea what was going on. It makes you think that, you keep reading thinking It was electronics on the inside. It was an animatronic chicken. It's like the old.
There's going to be details somewhere here.
There was a thing the CIA tried to do with cats, and it immediately got ran over. So no.
Yeah, it was just a chicken that showed up at one of the security checkpoints, and they picked it up.
That's like some local news out of my little town.
Yeah.
Like, oh, a pig got out, but it's national news here.
They also described the chicken as nervous. Have you ever met a chicken that you felt was confident?
No.
Yeah, roosters.
Well, that's true. But this was a chicken.
Huh. Oh, you clicked on
Yahoo! So we talked about the big Havana syndrome. Still a mystery. We don't know what's going on there. Turns out that's not the only mystery illness, but this one might be swept a little under the rug.
People struck by Canada's
Yahoo!
Canada's mysterious brain disorder say they can't talk, walk, or write the letter Q, but it's intermittent. It's intermittent symptoms. When they get an episode, it's just like.
They were afraid it was mad cow, but I think they have ruled that out at this point.
You call into work, it's like, I'm having a non-Q day. Can't do
Except
Qs
you can't
today.
even say that. You're just like, blah, blah, blah.
I really thought that the headline writer was going to say they can't write the letter Q something. It's related to like the QAnon, but it has nothing to do.
Yeah,
with
why? That. What a weird.
You should have said that.
Oh no! Sorry.
So, but here's the
Yahoo News.
Here's the crazy thing about it. The people involved here, some of these people have had this for a very long time. And they describe
2014, I think.
I guess because of the socialized medicine in Canada, they describe going to the hospital, and because it keeps getting kicked over to different departments because nobody knows what this is, they just don't get any treatment at all.
I mean, that happens here too, but
They keep calling them back, and they're like, yeah, we don't know. Have fun with that.
the hot new disease, it's not going to be this. It's going to be H6N5, the hot new bird flu. It's dropping 2022.
Yeah, this has been around since whenever, 2013, 2014. It's only gotten, 150 people?
Yeah.
And we're not even sure if all those people have the same thing.
Yeah, it could all be different diseases. Weird.
We should call it Ottawa syndrome. In support of the truckers. Go truckers. And the mail, it's a pretty common strategy, I think, when you mail drugs. You want to mail it to a house that doesn't belong to you, obviously. Don't make the mistake that the Amazon guy made. And then you go, and after they deliver the package, you go to the porch and you pick it up in the cover of night or whatever. But sometimes they don't deliver that at all because they know there's nobody in that house, and it goes back and it just rots at the mail center until a certain time passes, which apparently it's free. You can do whatever you want with it. I didn't know that was a rule.
Royal Mail investigates video of staff eating hash brownies at work. Where did they come from? An undelivered package.
Now, did you get the impression that they weren't positive that's what that was? They were just like, oh, free brownies.
Yeah.
But clearly, I guess they could have been commercial if they came from a legal state. Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
Because I thought, how...
I'm imagining like someone has put brownies in like a tin, like their
like
grandmother
aluminum
made.
foil.
Yeah.
And you didn't even question it. It was just like, oh, okay, brownies.
Who knows what could be in here?
I mean, people have sent us food before, and if it's like that, we won't eat it because you never know.
You don't know. Yeah.
Somebody, I saw a
You hate to
YouTube
be that
comment,
way,
and somebody was like, when do you got to clean the tops of those cans? You don't know.
That's probably a good point. But
Well, the box was sealed.
Oh, yeah, that box is fine, but what about the sap? The sap cans.
the sap sucker,
That's a good point.
you've probably got.
Probably didn't even think about
You've
it.
got mad cow, like those Canadians. You just don't know it yet.
You got the canavirus.
Ooh.
All right, well, Dale Earnhardt, man. Dale Earnhardt was a god when we were young. Krista, were you old enough to experience the madness
I
of Dale
moved back
Earnhardt?
here, and it was still pretty big. Like my cousin had the big number 3 flag above his bed.
Yeah. When I would go to Christmas and some of the families, every item, like somebody would get 20 different things for Christmas, every item was Dale Earnhardt.
It was huge. I didn't understand it at the time. I still kind of don't understand it, but
And Dale Earnhardt, if you don't know about him, he was a very popular race car driver. His nickname was the Intimidator because he really pushed the other cars on the track around. He wasn't afraid to take risks, which ultimately killed him.
it wasn't good in the end.
But that was his whole thing is like, you're not going to push me around. I'm going to drive where I want to drive, and you can't stop me, which certainly seems like that spirit would have led to this.
Crash suspect says Dale Earnhardt's ghost told him to drive the wrong way. He was in court. And his lawyer didn't stop him from saying this.
Now, here is the evidence that might point to another thing about it, is that in his system when they brought him in was methamphetamine and heroin.
Do you think the judge heard that argument? He's like, yeah, all right, go number 3. And then he's like, done. And he just banged his gavel.
God bless Chevrolet. Send that man home.
People.
Oh, and his other excuse was, okay, if Dale Earnhardt told you that, why did Dale Earnhardt tell you to drive on the wrong side of the road? Like, what was the ghost of Dale Earnhardt trying to accomplish? And it turns out it was to raise awareness to bring NASCAR back to Las Vegas. Because apparently NASCAR is not in Las Vegas anymore. Do they have a speedway in Las Vegas? I guess they must, right?
Anything they can gamble on, I'm sure.
Gamble on NASCAR? What about that? Would be the slowest gambling payback in the history of the world. You have to watch all that race?
Yeah.
I guess it happens.
I'm sure it does.
Here's the most disturbing story of the week. It raises a lot of questions about, like, what leads you to a life of OnlyFans. We shouldn't get into that. But it's just dark all around. I don't know how to introduce this one.
Carla Ramirez, OnlyFans star claims that her dad subscribed to her account under multiple phony names. Ugh. But it's darker than that. You'll have to read the story. It's just, I don't know.
Turns out...
that may have been an ongoing thing before the OnlyFans.
I get the impression she tried to get away from him, right?
And this was how she funded it.
And probably had no interaction with him at all, because now she's self-sufficient, because she's probably somewhat famous. I've not heard of her, but, assuming if she's got a news story about her, she's popular on OnlyFans. And he still kept coming.
Yeah.
Ugh. Not illegal.
Well, the other stuff probably was.
She'd probably have to get like a restraining order for that to be illegal. But
can a restraining order stop me from going to a website you're on? I don't think so.
It might be.
Don't look at my images online. I don't think you can go that far. Like you say, is there a statute of limitations on that kind of thing? Hopefully not. So retroactively, do something. Maybe she should go to him and just be like, listen, this can go one of two ways. Either you move to Alaska, or we open this can of worms.
You're going to end it with, I kill you. But that's fine too.
I love how Kristen, there's a dark place that she'll go to when certain lines are crossed. One time on the Twitch stream, I was like, Krista, and this was early on in your marriage, I was like, Krista, what would you do if you found out your husband was cheating? And she didn't miss, there was not even a millisecond. She was like, I'd poison him.
Not really.
All right. No, not really. So, but don't do that. You shouldn't poison people. And the other thing that you shouldn't do is censor things, because, it's so stupid.
It is.
And it looks ridiculous. Now, we've heard about, again, this is both sides of the aisle. A lot of people want to censor things because they are anti, gay or whatever, or they have something about race in them. But then on the other side, they're trying to get rid of new books that have that same content in them. So I guess we shouldn't have any books.
Banned.
That's
Books
where we're
on
going.
race and sexuality are disappearing from Texas schools in record numbers. I think a couple of people pointed out on the last episode, it's like, these aren't banned, they're just blocked from the curriculum. And it's like, that's kind of what the definition of banned is.
I don't think that's true here, though, because I don't think these are being taught in any curriculum.
Yeah, but they're not in the school library anymore.
The
everything
school
in the
library
school
can't
library
carry
otherwise
it.
being taught? Because the library is going to be really, really small if it's only what is being taught.
Well, in a lot of libraries, too, they do I think it was called Iliad. It's like the interlibrary loan system or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so could you not get those books if you're in a banned
If
Texas
you
school?
request them.
Yeah.
That's for public libraries, right?
Yeah.
This is a college library. I don't know if they do that.
It's a scary time.
Yeah.
You should probably go read all the books that have been banned just to see what's in them. Just for no other reason.
It's the Barbara Streisand effect. It's like, if you tell me not to read it, I'm going to read it.
And I got news for you. Because I assume that the reason they do this, or the reason they say they do this, is because they're afraid that it's going to influence their children, right? If your child can read a book and then be like, oh, maybe I am gay. Your kid was gay all along. Just accept it. That's not something that a book can do.
Yeah. The book's turning the kids gay.
This sounds exciting and amazing. Let's give this a try.
I don't think the book did it.
Israel is, when you get to the whole like woke hierarchy, Whoopi Goldberg just taught us where they stand in terms of that. They have the power on that list.
She's coming back to Picard, right? To the Picard TV series.
Is she?
Yeah.
Wasn't she an alien?
Yeah.
How are they going to explain the aging?
Well, do aliens age? That's a canon question. Do they?
No,
age?
she was when they did the time travel episode to 1800 San Francisco. She was alive then and basically unchanged.
Oh.
I don't think Whoopi Goldberg is a good actor.
I've only seen her in a few. I've seen her in Sister Act.
Ghost. Have you seen Ghost?
Cinderella.
Ghost.
No.
Never seen Ghost, Krista? Wow. Your movie, like the blanks in your movie history are crazy.
Yeah, I just don't watch a lot of movies.
But anyway, Israel, as much as we must admit that in the past they suffered a lot of indignities and horrors, doesn't excuse what you do now, which would be to visit those same things on a different group of people, maybe?
Israel calls on Amnesty International not to release apartheid report.
Apartheid.
And if you want to remember how to say that, some people call Elon Musk apartheid Clyde.
Yeah.
So yeah, they point out that a lot of the stuff that they're doing is that they're sitting on land that is not their land. They are just sort of squatting on it and building walls and forcing people out of it. Now, to be fair, there's two sides of that argument for sure, because some of those people are shooting rockets at them, thus the lasers from the previous episode. But it's not as cut and dry as this is all quote-unquote false, biased, and anti-Semitic. You don't get to play that card every time. I'm sorry. And Golden Corral, we used to go to Golden Corral pretty often, although Krista hates it.
I don't hate it. It's just meh. It's okay.
That's the whole design, Krista.
It's okay.
It's a large variety of okay food.
I hadn't seen the video.
I do like the atmosphere of Golden Corral, partly because it's full of white trash like this.
And partly because of the chocolate fountain.
The chocolate fountain is beautiful to watch.
But Golden Corral definitely does attract a certain kind of customer, right? And when you tell those customers that they paid for steak night, but you're out of steak, it gets rough.
Massive brawl breaks out in Bensalem Golden Corral over alleged steak shortage.
The video is so good. I love that there are high chairs being passed around.
This is on CBS Philly. So, I mean, just leave.
That is quite the melee. Oh, somebody got a good shot with that high chair. You know what? I would hold the high chair from the top, though. Because you get more
yeah, you
momentum.
want to jump on a table and then...
Yeah, and it flares out at the bottom, so you're going to get more... Yeah, if you're in a fight with a high chair, I would definitely hold it. I wouldn't hold it by the bottom. I'd hold it by the top.
If you're angry at a Golden Corral for not carrying your steak on steak night...
Somebody should have stood up and said, "There's a Wendy's right across the road."
And someone said, "Let's burn it. Let's burn it down." Just like those horrible, horrible terrorist truckers. Did you see the Tim Hortons that they burned down?
No.
Not Tim Hortons.
Oh, did they not do that?
I think you're making things up.
I heard that there were shots fired into a crowd up there.
I don't think that was true
Oh,
either.
I'm still thinking of the other one. Oh, yeah. Now, they broke windows out of buildings and looted. Oh, no. God, my facts are just all over the road here. But,
they killed the barbecue guy? No.
They did. I think they, said some angry words in a homeless shelter or something, and they latched onto that so hard. It's like, they're terrorists. They said bad things at the homeless shelter. But yeah, those problems probably seem pretty pale to you in comparison to your life if you are a woman living in Iran. But good news, you're going to get a brand new freedom, probably only this year, unless they perform well next year as well.
Some women allowed into stadium as Iran secures a World Cup spot. Some women.
2,000.
Just a few.
How do you think they decided who got those tickets?
Whoever paid the most.
Some kind of lottery. I don't know.
It's always whoever paid the most. That's always the answer.
You know the fun thing, too, about the community of truck drivers is when some rando shows up, it's like, who are you? And it's like, oh, I do long-haul trucking, and it's like, no one knows you.
What
But
podcast do you listen to? And he's like, I don't know.
for the most part, that's true. The most amazing thing about the truckers is that they're basically Occupy Wall Street, except it's a group of people who are motivated, responsible, and incredible at logistics.
They have been incredible, not only at logistics, but also rooting out people that are agitators that don't belong there. They've got some amazing videos where it's like, wait a minute, you're actually not one of us. Get out.
It's amazing how quickly that happens. And in literally every story we've had in the last 2 years, how quickly you see a video and then you realize it's agitators later.
Yeah.
There was the guy with the Confederate flag never took the mask off.
Yeah.
And none of these people were wearing masks because these are, anti-vaxxer type people. And it's like, oh, really? Really? You're that guy? Although I did watch one video. There's a channel on YouTube called Auto Walks. Have you seen that? It's a guy who his whole YouTube channel is nothing but walking around in Ottawa. And like, that's all he does. He just makes videos. He walks around and he shows you those videos. All of a sudden, he's got the most popular channel in the fucking universe. But he was walking through, and he like one of their little side encampments, and some Karen came out, a trucker Karen, and she was like, "You can't film here," and he just like looked at the truck that she got out of that had "freedom" written across it in giant block letters, and it's like, what? I can't? Really? I think the world, for the most part, is with the truckers. Would you agree?
Seems like
They've got a lot of public opinion behind them in comparison to Ubisoft, who has very little public support, and they just can't figure out why.
Ubisoft exec defends NFTs, saying players, quote unquote, don't get it because we need NFTs in the game.
It's the player base that's wrong,
Yeah.
not me.
No, I get it. I just don't like it.
So he said stuff like, quartz is really just a first step that should lead to something bigger.
What is it?
Also bad. We don't want that. Something that will more easily be understood by our players, because our players are too stupid to understand the money grab that we're doing right now. Way to dig that hole a little bit deeper there, sir. And our final story, sometimes when I put one of these stories in the Level 1 news, I'm just thinking about how hilarious it's going to be when Krista reacts to it.
I saw this beforehand. I think I kind of spoiled it the other day, but
Because, I knew that you would take special offense at this. And let's be fair, when you break all the parts down, it seems like this is a net win for everybody, honestly, except for the Amazon customer. But it is disgusting that you get this special level of privilege.
Rotterdam, or you want to do it?
Rotterdam Bridge taken apart to let through Jeff Bezos' pleasure yacht. It is too large to fit under this historical bridge.
He's paying for it. He's paying a lot of money to have it taken down. But the people in the place are upset because they say, wait a minute, the city promised not to do that again.
Yeah, this is a cultural landmark, I guess, for the city. And so it's only been dismantled, I think, once. It was rebuilt after the war. And they were like, it'll never come down again. And now, with enough money, it will come down again. And they're going to put it back up, but let's hope nothing is damaged or lost in that process.
Now, here's the crazy thing about this. You're looking at this bridge and you're like, wait a minute, that's an elevator bridge, right? Yeah, that ship is so massively huge, it won't fit under there. That's what sort of offense to God that Jeff Bezos is bringing into the waters out here.
I hope when he sails through there that the citizens of Rotterdam just come out with paintball guns and just plaster it.
There's probably turrets on board, Krista. They shouldn't do that.
It's got private security who shoot back with real bullets.
The other crazy thing about this is they were like, well, okay, give us some details. Like, how exactly are you going to take this apart? And they're like, well, we're not sure. We just know that we're going to do it.
That never
Lord
ends
Bezos
well.
says.
Yeah. They're going to lose one really important screw during that process, and then it's never going back up.
Have you seen the conference room at City Hall? It's filled with bags of cash.
Some fisherman, this water's probably far too polluted, but let's pretend there's fish in that water. Some local fisherman is like eating his fish at home, and he bites into the screw, and he's like, what's that? And then a window behind him, you see the bridge just come down slowly.
Just sinks into the bay.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I hope Jeff enjoys his mega yacht. He deserves it.
Oh, yeah. Do you think he had that built so he can, just float away from societal collapse?
I bet that mega yacht is pretty self-sufficient, right? Everything but fuel. I imagine it
Fuel and
uses
food.
so much fuel. Now, you can store a lot of food on something that big. He
But
can
not
probably
forever.
put 6 months of, yeah, but 6 months. After 6 months, either society is back to something you can step back into, or it's never coming back, right?
That's his plan all along.
Nah, he needs us. One thing about Jeff Bezos, he needs us.
He doesn't know that we're not all replaceable, though.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are finding it out because truckers are very important. I'm not looking forward to the supply chain issues that are inevitably coming from that, but maybe it'll make things better.
Anyway, have a good weekend. Bye.